Welcome. Ah, Welcome to today's webinar session. What do we call these things today? Live sessions. I like that better than webinar. Welcome, everybody. I'm Dave Wiesenek here from RAMP, expert in residence here at RAMP, which basically means I sit at the intersection of kind of finance and product, building things, breaking things, figuring out what the future of finance operations looks like. And today, a lot of that looks like AI. Before we dive in, let me just go to the next page here. Before we dive in, just a few housekeeping items. If you run into any technical issues, we recommend using Google Chrome for the best experience. It works the best with this application. Everybody here, don't worry, you are all muted. You are all off camera except for Brock, Stephen, and I. So sit back, relax, enjoy the conversation. If you do want to get into the conversation, please, we have a chat box over to the right-hand side. There is Q&A as well, so please engage with fellow attendees, engage with us. We love an active discussion there. And then if you have questions, throw them into the Q&A. We're going to try and get through them if they're relevant to kind of the conversation at hand. Otherwise, we'll have some Q&A at the end. We'll have some time for that. And of course, this is being recorded, so we will send a recording of the show. I don't know if it's right after, maybe like a day after, to all your emails. So feel free to throw in questions into the Q&A. We'll stick around for a little bit after to go through as many questions as possible. Sound good? Awesome. Cool. So let me frame today's discussion a little bit, and then I'll bring in Brock and Stephen as our special guests today. Over the past, I would say, 12 months or so, there's been a lot of change when it comes to AI. I think we've all seen it where kind of coding, our developers coding has gone from simple autocomplete in GitHub and tools like that to now Claude code agents essentially running while developers are asleep. Every software developer that I know is deploying multiple agents to do their work. They're not really writing code anymore, right? These developers are managing agents, and those agents are writing code. And finance and accounting is on a very similar trajectory. I'm early on in that journey, but it is very similar to kind of how things have happened for developers over the past couple of months. And this change is relatively recent, over the last 2 or 3 months, where finance and accounting is really engaging with AI differently than before. And that's new for me. There's a lot of, controllers. Here we have Brock, a lot of finance folk, a lot of controllers, a lot of accountants that are leaning into AI tools, not just for chat and for simple questions, but for actually building, right? Vibe coding their own software, figuring out how to manage agents to do real accounting and finance work. So that's what we're going to talk about today. We have a bunch of examples that we want to kind of just showcase to you. We're going to have a discussion about how we got into that journey of using agents to do real work for us. So I want to introduce 2 people that we have here. Brock Beyer, controller at Jump. Brock has gone from essentially zero coding, maybe actually zero coding, no coding experience, he's nodding his head, to building real operating infrastructure for his team in a matter of months. This is not a side project for Brock, but rather part of his actual job, building applications to do his job. Brock, why don't you come off mute, tell us a little bit about yourself, about Jump AI, and what brought you here today.
Absolutely. It's great to be here with everyone. It's great to be here. I'm very excited to talk about this today. My name is Brock. I am the controller at Jump. We are the leading AI operating system for financial advisors. We started as an AI note-taking app. Now we're doing much, much more than that. Definitely go check out jump.ai if you're interested. We're doing a lot of really awesome things. But to give like a little bit of an intro on myself is, yeah, like I am like a lot of people in this webinar today. I started in public accounting. I studied accounting. I did zero engineering, and basically I have just been working mostly with startups my entire career, and I've absolutely loved it. And so when I came over to Jump, I was the first accounting hire here. My previous role was the same ordeal. And, like I built out some really cool things at the last job where, we did the routine playbook. You implement NetSuite, you implement these tools, and you try to scale as fast as you possibly can. And when I came over here, for me, I was like, look, I want to shake things up. We're an AI company. I want to use AI tools. So, I'm happy to say that I'm a proud Real customer. I'm a proud Ramp customer as well. And we have built some really, really great things. And I'm excited to talk about some of the other things we've built. So
love it. Welcome, Brock. Thank you for being here with us. And then Stephen Headland, head of finance at Rillet, who, Stephen, you bring deep experience on accounting and the ERP layer, and doing some really cool things with AI over at Rillet. Why don't you give us a little bit of introduction of what Rillet is and what your role is over there and what you've been seeing on the ground?
Cool. Yeah, no, thanks, Dave. Thanks, Brock. I've looked forward to this for a long time. So hello to everyone. So my name is Stephen Headland. I'm head of finance at Rillet. I lead both our finance and marketing teams. So background's all in finance. Like I've seen SAP and all these kind of different ERP systems. That's what made me want to join Rillet. It's similar to kind of how Ramp has kind of rebuilt the AP and even like finance infrastructure for both the AI era and just frankly like the modern era with a very kind of like user friendly kind of like say like consumer grade user experience. We've done the same thing at Rillet for the ERP. And the core focus for us is really like how can we both automate both like within the system itself and then enable folks to build on top of it directly. So like we've got MCP, with Rillet, so I'll show some of that today and how we're building, but we've been having lots of conversations with different CFOs and leaders and Brock and Dave and really like pushing what's possible here. Like I'm literally like Claude coding right now as we're talking, like making updates to what I'll show you today. I'm just telling Claude like, yes, right? I kind of know how it works. It's in some ways a lot easier than you probably think. So really, really stoked to really like focus on kind of Brock, what you've built today. And then we were working with Dave previously on what he has in it. Like it's sick. So really excited to walk through all this today.
All right. Thank you. We have Kurt Chessman here who called you Gary Tan 2.0. What's up, Kurt? All right. So I want to dive into the demos. Before we do, can we throw up the survey really quick? What I'm interested, there's a lot of conversation in the chat. Everybody's talking about kind of where they are on the journey. Are they a beginner, intermediate, expert using AI? I see a lot of beginners, some intermediate. I don't think I've seen expert there, but if you are there, amazing, love to see it. But what are the tools that people are using? Are you using Ramp Sheets, Claude? That could be Claude Cowork, Claude Code. That could be just Claude Chat, Microsoft Copilot. Are you using ChatGPT or something else? What are you using as an AI professional? A finance professional using AI. But I want to throw out a question for Brock and Stephen while those answers come in. I don't know if you guys have felt this, but I felt a real big vibe shift in the last like 2 to 3 months when it came to using AI for finance and accounting professionals. I felt it. I would love your perspective. Like, what changed for you over the last couple of months? What have you seen out there that kind of made that vibe shift?
Steven, do you want me to take it first?
You go right ahead.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy because I think it was back in January when Claude released Cowork, right? And there was so much hype there. And like, it was something new because like, I feel like in the back office for so many years, it's just been like, look, you do your thing, you're just behind the scenes, you're in Excel. Then all of a sudden this tool called Cowork is released. And all of a sudden it's like, AI's coming for your job, right? Yeah. And it's just crazy because I just think the availability of tools has just just erupted. And all of a sudden it's become like this new experimentation where people who typically have been, set to their normal day-to-day operations are now able to be like full-on builders and create new things. And I think it's super exciting. Like, it's super fun. It's one of the funnest things that funnest time that I've had in my career, no question about it. But I think that was definitely the pivotal moment. But I just think new tools are being released and new concepts are being released. And there's so many use cases. It's electric right now to be in accounting and finance. It's fun.
Yeah. I think there's like two, I don't know, sorry, Stephen, go ahead.
Yeah. And so, it's awesome. I think the real, like that you said, vibe shift happened. I think with Claude, either it was like 4.6 or 4.5 model that came out. That was frankly
the Opus 4.6 model. Yeah.
Yeah. Was frankly just a lot better, which has enabled a lot of use cases I don't think were possible before. But then there was also, at least what started it for me, was Claude and Excel came out of beta, I think end of January. And that, like, for a couple of weeks just broke my brain of like, what is this? Like, how is this possible? Right. And that then started me on Claude and like Claude Code and Claude Cowork. And so that timing also came together with Claude and Excel. And then Claude goes from just chatbot to also Claude Code and Claude Cowork as well. So like use cases become enabled. And then I think kind of the third pillar, I think MCP is probably the right word here, is MCP came out now like over 18 months ago, and there was like a bunch of fanfare, and then it just like died. I'm frankly like not really sure what happened, but like everyone was like super excited about it. I saw a bunch of announcements from vendors and it like disappeared. And then it's come roaring back in the last 3 months. And I think that's both boosted by the models have gotten better, which makes the MCP useful. And then it's just taken a while to get that kind of concentration of enough vendors on MCP to make it very useful. So now, like with Enrillit, for example, or like with Claude, you can connect, your Enrillit ERP, you can connect your Snowflake, you can connect your Gmail, connect your Slack, like all the tools you use, you can bring into a central repository or straight into Claude. And it's incredibly useful because it's not just connecting to Enrillit or just to Slack or just to Ramp, like it's all your tools in one place. And then it's like, whoa, like now the possibilities really are endless in a way they frankly were not 6 months ago.
Yeah, I think what you talked about a little bit is like late last year, a lot of developers were using Claude Code or Codex or some of these other coding agents, but they were a little bit out of reach for finance professionals. But with Claude Cowork, which is relatively recent, it's bringing the power of Claude Code in a user interface that's a little bit more pleasant for finance and accounting folk, and including Claude in Excel or Ramp Sheets, which is an agent within like an Excel spreadsheet. It's just a bit more approachable for us as finance folks, and it's giving us the power that maybe we didn't have, and allowing us to experiment more. So totally. Let's dive into a few demos. Brock, I believe you are up first. So if you can, while you get up the first demo, if you could set the scene for us. You're at Jump. What does your finance team look like? What does your finance operations look like? Your stack? And what was kind of like the state before you started building kind of what you're going to show us now? What was the state of your operations? And like, because that's where you started.
Yeah. So when I joined, I was the first accounting hire. So as you can imagine, all of it was outsourced. Like whenever you use third-party bookkeepers, 20 to 30-day close, pretty standard. And we had our SVP of finance. He's fantastic. He came in. He's been doing some amazing things. I was shortly after him, 3 months in, and basically within the first month or two, we did a full ERP evaluation, and we decided to go with Enrillit. We went from not knowing what our customer revenue was on a monthly basis, or it would take 20 to 30 days, to essentially same day, like first day of the month, know exactly where they are. We basically, the day I started, we had Ramp already provisioned for us, and We implemented ramp. So like my first 30 days, it felt like it was just ramp and reel it, ramp and reel it, ramp and reel it. So it was, it's very fitting to be on this webinar because like I've spent so much time in these platforms and I just absolutely love them. But that was the state, is we essentially had no close, we had no process in place, and we were just trying to say, hey, look, we are a lean team. How can we be able to build out a full world-class accounting system and operation while staying lean, right? Mm-hmm. That's always been our objective since day one, is like, we don't want a bloated team. How do we effectively use AI automations, integrations to be able to seamlessly grow and scale? So that's kind of like been our whole approach. And so go ahead.
So take us back 3 months. Had you ever, you said you didn't write any code. What was your level of like AI understanding kind of 3 months ago before you started building?
I thought AI was ChatGPT.
Okay.
And like for me, every time I hear AI, it used to be the first thing that I would think of was Allen Iverson. That was literally what I thought of when I heard AI. I had zero experience, right? So for me, I would hear AI and I'd be like, oh, dude, baller, right? So that was my experience, if I'm being completely honest. I had next to no experience with AI apart from the agents that the tools we were using would talk about, right? Like Ramp, always talking about the agents and everything else, or ChatGPT and just asking silly little prompts. That was my exposure 3 months ago.
Okay. And so when you started building, what was the first thing that you built? What was the problem that you had? And what made you kind of go and build something to solve that problem?
Yeah, absolutely. So we just recently moved office spaces, and we moved from, the 5th floor to the 3rd floor. And while we did that, we're like, okay, well, how are we going to manage this if we're going to do hoteling systems, right? I looked up software, doing my due diligence. It was like $10,000 to $20,000 to be able to do this. And we're like, this is crazy. Like, we've got to be on our team. We've got to be super lean, right? We can't be spending money on this stuff. And basically, we were like, let's use Google Sheets. Let's do this. And then someone threw out there, let's just vibe code it. I was like, okay. I mean, I have a Lovable subscription. Let me just try it. Let's see what happens, right? So basically, that was my first experience. And let me just share my screen here.
Yeah, let's dive in.
I love
this was my first Lovable experience right here.
For everybody, what is Lovable? I've heard this. I haven't used it. Tell us what Lovable is.
Yeah, so Lovable is a vibe coding tool. Their whole mentality and their whole approach is make coding easy and make it accessible for everyone, right? And I'm sure their motto and mantra is completely different from what I just said. It's probably butchered, but it's literally that to me. It's make it so that anybody can do it. And what you're seeing here is literally what I built. So we sat down and I took this floor map and I said, this is all the desks, and let me just make a hoteling system.
Did you have like a PDF with the floor map? Was it a screen, like a picture? What did you have?
Yeah, so I had a PDF of the floor map, but as you can imagine, like I uploaded it and it was completely scattered and I just had to spend a couple of hours. It took me about 2 hours to get this like the way I wanted it. And then it took me about 3 to 4 more hours of just like me tinkering around, like operating and fixing like the UI and some of the features that I wanted, right? So like, just like phone booth bookings, just half-hour increments, things like that. So.
And did you have all the ideas of what the features you want, or did you plan or brainstorm with the Lovable agent on kind of like what features to add, what would be good to have in here?
So funny enough, it was just me messing around with things and like clicking on stuff and be like, I don't like that. And then I'd be like, can you do this? And that's how these features came to be. Like, this was the first attempt and I did literally zero preparation. I just uploaded the PDF and was like, I want this. Help me build this. And then everything that would come up, I'd be like, okay, I don't like this. Can you change the way that this is formatted? Can you put this into our actual color palette? I want to be able to see people's faces when you book. Like, this is me, as you can tell.
Yeah,
But
Aisha has a good question here. What was this designed to do?
so this was designed to allow employees to come into the office and reserve their own desks. And so it's like a desk hoteling system. And so that's what it was designed to do. So what's funny today is like the TLDR, we took this, put it into GitHub. We have it now in our admin instance. And like literally we use this today, like at our company. It is definitely refined. It's gotten better. We ran it through security and we've done a lot of different measures. But like we call it Perch. We use Perch today. Like Perch is our hoteling system that we use.
I love it.
So
I love it.
Yeah.
Brock, like, why was this your problem, right? Like, this is not something I would typically consider finance to do, right? Like, why would you do this versus some other department in the org?
Well, the short answer is at the time we didn't have a people team, and so finance was doing lots of random crap. Like I helped out with some of the other things, like just helping with design of like our office and like making sure the construction was going on. So that's the short answer. But like the longer answer is like I've just started putting myself forward and like been trying to find ways to do more AI around our organization. Like I just try to do it as much as I can now because I'm so obsessed with it. Like for example, Notion just recently released custom agents, right? And so I went and I built a handful of custom agents to help out with like frequently asked questions, creating databases, and like going through and like problem solving and answering these questions. I did it for like our in-office channel. I did it for our frequently asked questions in finance, our frequently asked questions in billing. Like some people, like I try not to step on toes, but I'm always like, you guys need to be doing this. You need to be doing this. This is so incredible. You can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. So that's kind of the longer answer.
Yeah, just get stuff done. I love it.
Yep.
When you launched this, what was that feeling of launching your first app, deploying it, and having the team use it? What was going through your mind when you built this first one?
It was the same feeling that you get when you hit a perfectly clean 5-iron or you hit a home run in softball. I was on a cloud. I was like, this is the coolest thing ever. And like, I showed my wife and she's like, okay, cool. And I'm like, babe, you don't get it. Like, I built this. And it's really cool because like now, like we just had an all hands last week and like there are people across our entire organization who literally are doing similar things and they're building and building and building. And like our entire company is like so focused now on like leveraging AI. And it's cool because like I kind of feel like, I was one of the first non-engineering employees to build. And now like our entire company is doing things that are so incredible. And so it's an amazing feeling. Like I'm stoked about it.
Brock, I have a question here, which is really good. Someone asked a question, which is where did you host this? And how much does it cost to host this and to maintain it on an ongoing basis? The reason why I think this is a really good question, because it brings up the question of like build versus buy, which, you brought up, like, you looked at purchasing software to do this for you, and it could have been $10,000, $20,000. You built it for much lower. But of course, if you have to maintain it, if you have to host it, that costs money. And so that, we always have this build versus buy threshold or discussion when we're building technology for ourselves or using technology. But tactically, where do you host this? How much does it cost to maintain? And yeah, let's start there.
Yeah, no, it's a great question. So I don't know the specific cost for this tool because like we pushed it into like where we host everything else. So it's just like a small subset of everything else that we're hosting, right? So I know that's not the answer that some people want, but like the way that you can do this, there's several ways you can, right? So like you can host within Lovable or Replit. Those are two of the biggest vibe coding platforms that you can create tools on, and you can host there. And I think the cost is like free to like basically nothing. Like it is very, very low amounts that we're talking about here. You can sync it to GitHub and then sync the code to like your production and like your admin instance. And essentially from there, it's hosted with all the rest of your software and tools. That's kind of like what we did. Or like you can go to like a Vercel and try to host that way. And I think their costs are relatively low too. From everything that I've looked into and everything that I've talked to people about, it's really, really low. Going back to the question of build versus buy, like this is the thing for me is people ask all the time, like, or say all the time, SaaS is dead, SaaS is dead, SaaS is dead. Personally, I don't believe SaaS is dead. I believe that like on an enterprise level, that you are always going to have a need to use tools that are trusted, reliable, go through SOC audits, that you can stand up against, like scrutiny and going up against like real financial audits. Like for ERP or like a procurement like tool, like a full expense management tool, if you're an enterprise company, there's no world where I'm like vibe coding that. That's hours and hours and hours of time. This took me 6 hours to build. 6 hours is a good use of my time, right? So that's my take.
Yeah. Sorry, maybe to like be extra crisp on there, like when you talk about deploying this, is like this is just code, right? Like it's a visual here, but from like a like what it looks like in practice, it's just HTML, where you can literally just take this code, give it to your engineers, and put it somewhere, right? Like this is not like a Excel spreadsheet where you put these screenshots and something like it's not just a visual. Like you have access to the code behind it, which you then can deploy other places. And then, to the point on like buy versus build, like we were talking about before, is like in some ways like it almost doesn't matter, right? Like you've built this, you've deployed it, you're using it. At some point, you're going to add another floor, or you're going to add another city, or you're going to have some type of expansion. And then like, are you really going to go in and edit this software again? Like maybe, like if you leave the org or something and like something happens, like if someone else can maintain it, like, I don't know, but like, it doesn't matter, right? Like this gives you another 6 months, 12 months of runway or like extension of not having to onboard another vendor and not have to maintain another relationship here and do some more payments and save 20K. Like regardless of whether this lasts forever or just lasts for 6 to 12 months, like who cares, right? The point is it's working for a little bit. So like, awesome, like go.
And the other thing is like, I would love to show these next ones if that's possible, but like,
let's keep it
I will say the cost on this, just so you know, $60 maybe.
Yeah.
Like maybe. Like
I mean, just building might have cost you tokens, $20-$30 in tokens. But let's go to some other examples, Brock. I know you've built some really cool stuff. Show us what you've built here, and how you use this in your day-to-day work.
Yeah, so this is on the tail end of like me finalizing it. I actually am meeting with our security team later this week to actually try to get this live. But this is a procurement intake tool that I had built out. So basically, people can come in, they can create like a new request for spend, vendor, if they're existing, if they're new. And looks like this thing is being wonky right now. So this is why buy versus build. You got to make sure you're doing it right.
This is honestly like doing this has given me a deep new respect for our engineers. Of like initially, like I build the first instance and I'm like, oh, this is super easy. And then that double click happens where it's like, oh, this little feature nuance here and resizing the window makes the table expand in a way I don't want. And like all these little things. And I'm like, shoot, like this is actually really hard.
It's crazy. So like for context, like I built this, like we've had no procurement tool. And the reason why I built this, like the why behind this is like, we've had no procurement tool in place, right? Up to this point, and we've had no procurement process. And so like what I wanted to start doing is like have a spot where we can be able to know everything that we need to about spend and have approval thresholds within the system, right? So I want to be able to get security review for software. I want to be able to have legal review. I want to be able to go through and say like, hey, here's all the different purchase requests that we have. If it's been approved and there's an actual flow, then we get through and get to the end and it's like, okay, great. Now we have a purchase order that's actually created, right? So that's like the process that I was going through. And like, candidly, I think it gives you a respect for engineers, but it also gives you a respect for the process in general. And it like makes you understand the process more than you ever thought you knew before. And like, you're like in the weeds and it's great. So,
I mean, it's awesome that you built this, but someone put it into the chat. This is a good plug for Ramp Procurement. And the idea there is like, we have designers, product team members, developers, and thousands of customers using our product. We are going to build a much better procurement software for someone like you, Brock. But this is great for you if you're just getting started, if you have very small needs. This is a great way to start, but you will appreciate, I think you are appreciating that now, that like there is value in buying from a vendor that's going to build out amazing software with all of these edge cases and a point of view on how to do it right based on thousands of customers already.
100%. And like, when you look at something like this, it's funny because like I've had multiple conversations with Ramp about this, but like there's things where you're like, these are the things, like the main core items that I want. But then when you get into like the weeds and there's like vendor management and there's like price analysis and intelligence behind everything, where it's like, hey, this is how much you're spending. This contract's up for renewal. Like, these are the things that you need to be thinking about. And you're like, okay, I knew half of those like off the top of my head when I was creating this. It's insane. Like, and it's all, there's also value to having a one-stop shop for all things related to spend, right? So there's value in that.
We have one question here. Does your procurement module link into NetSuite or accounts payable software, or is it a separate database? What you've built here today?
Separate database, but like there's a world where we're trying to see if we can use Ramp's developer function to find some way of connecting. I'm not guaranteeing anything, but like you're trying to think outside of the box here and do what we can. So
super cool, very impressive what you built here. Can you show us the third tab? And then I want to move over to Steven and see what he's got for us as well.
Yeah, let's see how this one's working. But basically, I went through and I tried to create a closed management checklist, right? And some of these things, it looks like these all did not pull over, so I apologize. But basically, I've gone through and I've created. Hold on, give me 1 second. I'm going to pull up this other thing. Okay, so this is what like it looks like, right? So this is all dummy data. This has not been used yet, so this is like 100% not active. But basically, like I've just created like a reconciliation piece where what the objective here, so you can see the long-term goal, is like we basically have cash balances that are pulling in from Rillet, and like, or just all GL balances through like an API key and basically like the MCP. We want to make sure that we can just capture endpoints. And so if we can pull those in by period for each account, like we're going to be in an amazing spot. And like, that's basically the objective that we're trying to have here. Like we have a full-blown checklist here of like all the different things that we're trying to accomplish on a month-to-month basis. Like most of this is all fake. Like most of this is just like me going through and like, just like what lovable thought was going to be good, and like just from different templates. But basically this is it. Like, this is like what we're trying to accomplish. And like, is there risk in this? Yes. But like, there's also a piece where it's like, this is like not something that we're showing broadly. This is all just housed within our accounting team. And so for us, like, this is an example of buy versus build. Mm-hmm. So like this so far, I mean, a couple hours. So, yeah. And like, the other thing is like, I just want to caveat one last thing. I would never deploy a single piece of software without running it through my security team first. There has not been a piece of like vibe coding tool that I have like ran like we're creating KPI dashboards, we're creating all these other really cool things like for our company, but like there's no world where I would ever house any of this and like actually bring it live into production until we hit the data security piece. So that's one thing that I will mention. Like these tools are cool, but like if you're not secure, like you're doing yourself a huge disservice. So I just wanted to make that known.
Yeah, and that's one of the big benefits, of course, buying software, is that you have a lot of security features built into the software that you're purchasing versus vibe coding, where you have to get it reviewed by your engineering team and security before deploying it live.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
Steven, would love to see what you've been building lately.
Let's do it literally right now. There's also some good questions in the chat about like Rillet has a closed checklist as well. The answer is like yes, and you can use Rillets. I think what's cool about what Brock is building here is he's adding some nuances for like his own unique workflows or like what he would like to see, essentially like product feedback. If you're working with like another ERP, like they're not going to change it, right? But Brock can give that feedback back to us and we can say, oh, cool, like how can we work this into Rillet, right? So he doesn't have to have this kind of standalone tool and host it directly within the ERP. So it becomes a good like product discovery for us as well. And the beauty of like having a good clean system like Rillet is then you can build your own custom stuff on top of it. And so like what I'll show here, let me show my screen.
While he's pulling that up for all the Rillet customers, if that goes live into production, I would love, DoorDash gift cards or big thank yous. Like I'm pushing hard for this, everyone. So just know if this happens, this is on me.
Exactly. A lot of what Brock has built, I'll say, is on the roadmap and will be coming out in the coming days or weeks. So here what I've done is built a 13-week cash forecast with Claude Code. And so this is connected to Rillet via MCP. I see me being on a Mac. I know, I agree. It both like pains me, and I'll say like as a finance guy, and also like Claude Code seems to work better on a Mac. And so
this is a hot topic. This is a very hot topic. I don't know if we want to go down this road.
I know, man. I never thought I would do it, with a Mac.
I love it.
I'm on a Mac today too. So
like Excel still sucks on a Mac.
Excel's terrible on a Mac. I'm sorry.
Really sucks. Like I'll still go back to my Windows if I have some good Excel work to do.
Same.
But the Mac is very helpful here. And so what I've done here is build a 13-week cash flow forecast. This is connected directly to Rillet via MCP with Anthropic. This is all like, you'll see it says sandbox here. This is all dummy data. But this is entirely built with Claude Code. And so what Claude Code is, like Lovable, you kind of saw what Brock had built kind of visually there. It's kind of hosted directly in Lovable. This is built directly on my own computer. Like this is literally like an HTML file hosted on, like you can see it here, like hosted within my own folder. I can still like share this and deploy it, and we could put it, say like in a Vercel or somewhere else where folks can access it. But this is just on my local computer. So like security concerns, no issues, at least yet. And this is once again like all customized to my own instance. And so I've added like clickable here where I can say I can see these invoices and I can follow these back to Rillet directly. Or here, like I've got some different, bills. I've got links back to Rillet as well. So this is all stuff I've added. Some of this, like I'll say, Claude Code is very good and also like very bad. And so I'll say like, hey, add links to Rillet, and the links don't work. So I'm like, I examine the link and I'm like, oh, this is not routed correctly. Here, Claude is the proper syntax. You're currently doing this, use this instead, and then updates the syntax, and now all the links work, right? And so it still needs like a lot of coaching. It's not something you can just like give it and just let it go. It's also like, it's like an intern or early employee, right? Like you need to inspect it and make sure it's working and clean, right? But like all of this is built directly in Claude Code and then just shipped. I'll say like I found Claude Code the most intimidating because it's like, look at here, it's like literally in this thing called a terminal. I still don't really understand what a terminal it is, and it's very engineering heavy. But like, once again, like you can ask Claude, how do I set this up? Claude like walked me through how to open a terminal, where to find it, how to get it set up. how to open this file again next time I wanted to edit, right? So like you can just ask Claude how to do it, and then Claude will show you all of its reasoning when you ask it a question. Like here, I will say, let me see. I wanted to add some different stuff that I was doing right now. And it says like, do you want to do this? And then it gives you like yes or no or change. I always say yes. I probably should go like read through all the stuff it's doing, but like, come on, it's like very long, right? So I just say yes. And if it's wrong, then I just back up and correct it, right? But
the cost is low of making a mistake. You can always go back, you can always change it, you can always give it more instructions.
Yes, 100%. Yes, exactly. And so yeah, this is built like directly here. I told it, okay, look, it says, do you want to make this edit? I asked to change it to day mode instead of night mode here. So I'm just going to say yes. And let's see if it can do it live and does a good job.
And while you're doing this, what is this connected to? Like, did you connect it to data sources? Is it connected to Rillet? Is it connected to Ramp? What else? How is it getting the data for this application?
Yeah, so this is connected directly to Rillet. So it's getting it's still asking more questions. I'm just saying yes. It's getting like Ramp data into Rillet. So it's still like pulling the Ramp data in directly. And we could even add edits here with like within each of these categories and say highlight the bills that are Ramp specific, right? Because it has that data within the ERP.
And there's a really good question from Brad here, which is like, how does the forecast have the assumptions on for each of the 13 weeks? Like, where are those assumptions housed?
Yeah, so let's see. It said it cooked for 8 minutes. Let me refresh and see if it worked. Oh, nice. Look at that. It's in day mode. Go back to night mode. Okay. And then actually, hold on. Let me stop it. Let me see if I can add a button that will let me do it. Add a button to switch between day and night mode. Okay. Okay. So in terms of like assumptions, in this case, it's like pretty simple, right? It's pulling in all the cash inflows and then giving me spaces where I can enter what's upcoming, right? So it's like a spreadsheet where I can edit it directly. And then it's giving me space for payroll and then pulling in all the AP. In this case, like I told it to spread it. So rather than have to make assumptions when exactly I'll pay these bills, some I'll pay earlier, some I'll pay later. So it's going to be, for finance is fine, directionally correct, right? So it's going to be all my own assumptions that go into this, and it's just going to build it accordingly.
Dude, that is amazing. And what's really interesting is like, this works really well for you and how you want to do cash flow forecasting. Of course, you might start with something generic, but as you get more involved and you have more assumptions, you can really craft this now by just talking with your Claude code agent about what's important to you building it, so that you can use it every single week or every single month. And while there's probably a lot of commonalities amongst all of us in our 13-week cash forecast, your specific company might have some particularities that you want to build into it. How long did it take you to build this?
Literally like an hour.
An hour.
Right. And that's with like, I'm like, oh, like what do I want to add? I want to add, largest upcoming flows and largest upcoming outflows. And, what are the things that's not included in forecast yet? And like, look at the things that have been in previous weeks and months within our financials and tell me if I might be missing something. And so this is all like, these things are all added after the initial, just, hey, build this cash forecast. And then, we've still got, we'll see if we can get the dark mode button in here quickly, but the rest, like these pieces here, initially when I built it, it was really bad at the formatting. And so when I, made the browser both smaller and larger, it would not resize the windows. So once again, giving me respect for software engineers here that know how to do this stuff. And that's like takes a little more time to add in, but that's all like customizations at that point.
Steven, can I ask a question?
Hours? Yes.
I noticed that it says on here that you're paying $5,000 a month for Spotify. With that, do you get to meet some of the musicians themselves? No, but seriously, this is so cool. And like one thing that I think is cool too is like people need to start like just building stuff like this, right? But like the other thing that you can build behind the scenes are things like an AI analyst, right? Like basically you could just say like, hey, these are all the tasks that I want you to be able to perform to do checks and balances. Here's what you should be doing. Here's another little agent that you have that's like going through and saying like, do these links actually tie to something? If not, flag it, right?
Yep.
Is the math accurate? Is everything actually flowing through, right? Because like the last thing you want to do is to have hallucinations. The last thing you want to have is just like something that like looks really pretty, but doesn't work, right? And so like, I think if you can build things like that, that's huge. And the last thing I will say is like this is the accountant in me. Like I said this at the very beginning, I am an accountant through and through. Like you have got to trust but verify everything that you're building. Like trust it, but you have to verify. And if you don't, like, I mean, it's not even worth it, right? So
I would
make sure
never
you do those things.
I never ship an output out without reviewing, right? If you got to put your name on it. Let me switch over, Stephen. Do you mind if you have anything else, or can I switch over?
I just want to call on, I'm very proud the button worked.
Nice.
Okay? Live build.
Slick.
All right, I'm going to switch over and share my screen, guys. Here we go. So I have two things that I want to show you. One, first is this application that I call Peel. We're doing a hackathon here at Ramp. Everybody in the company that wants to participate, no matter what role you are in, we are all builders. And so we have a hackathon for using AI. It's Tuesday, and I built mine last night already. So got it in extremely early, but the due date is on Friday. And basically what it is I was using Nano Banana to create images, and I hated going back and forth between Slack and Nano Banana, Gemini, to create an image. So instead, I built a Slack application called Peel so I can create the images within Slack. So it's a Slack native image generator using Nano Banana, hence why it's called Peel. And you can create any image based on a simple prompt, and it's context aware. So if you just do a / command, #Peel, and you give it a prompt and you can give it pictures, whether it's like up or down in the thread, it will create the image for you in any style that you want. And how it works is within Slack, you have a trigger through WebSockets, goes to my application, goes to Gemini API, and then posts the image back into the thread. So here's kind of what it looks like when you're in Ramp. And I did this right before the call. If you guys will just give me 1 second. Let's see, window, where'd it go? One more, here we go. Nope, here we go, this one. Right before the call, I did it with an image of the three of us riding the AI wave. I used our LinkedIn photos and created this image all within Slack. And I built this in about 2 hours last night. Now, this has nothing to do with finance, don't get me wrong. But what it taught me is how to build Slack applications using an API, which is going to be really helpful for the next thing that I want to show you. So part of my job, obviously within Ramp, we have a procurement software where, oh, am I sharing my screen? Hold on.
We're still seeing Peel.
1 second, guys. Window, here we go.
Why'd you call it?
So we of course use Ramp for procurement requests, and this is a real request that came in just a few days ago from GitHub. So I built an application called Clause because it uses Claude and it reviews all of the clauses in a contract to review contracts, which normally take anywhere between 30 minutes to an hour to review a procurement request with the contract attached. And so just by pasting a Ramp request, just the link right here, clicking review, it will review the entire contract, okay, based on the guidance that we have, our internal playbook, and pull out where it has, red flags or yellow flags based on the contract. So here it can see that we have the wrong address, of course, simple, but it's going to tell me what to do in the suggested red line. and then other things like payment terms and price escalation clauses, and all of these other things that we care about, and what we care about as a company, and what we want to negotiate. And so it gives me kind of a quick playbook on how to respond back to the counterparty with negotiation strategy. Now, why did I build this? We have a procurement product. All of this is, can be done within the procurement product. I wanted to learn how to build this product and how to use these applications. I've deployed it now, so anybody at the company can use. But the idea was, I wanted to learn how to build and connect this with the RAMP application. But also, this is a really great way for me to share product feedback with the product team, right? So building it, instead of just explaining what I want out of the product, I can build what something could look like and then share that with the product team. So they have a very visceral and visual way of looking at kind of the feedback, so they can build this into the product better. And of course, all of this type of stuff can be done within Claude Code or can be done in RAMP. But the idea is I wanted to build something that would work specifically for me, so I could share this feedback with the product team. Yeah. And what's really cool is I put a little calculator here to show me how long it took versus what it thinks a human would take. So it took 67 seconds versus 45 minutes, and it cost me $43 versus, let's say, an hour of someone's time to review this, human time to review this.
That's absolutely wild.
Yeah,
that is so cool.
Someone asked, how long did it take to build this? I would say it took probably 5 or 6 hours because I had to connect it to the RAMP MCP or the RAMP API. I'm not exactly sure. I think I connected it to an API because it's a standalone application. And then we had to, I had to host this somewhere. So we have an internal hosting platform called Ramplify, which is similar to, let's say, Vercel, but it's approved by our security team straight up. So then we launched it.
Awesome.
Yeah, of course. All right.
This is all built in Claude Code.
All of it was built in Claude Code. Yes, of course. Yes.
How did you make it match RAMP's kind of UI, UX, colors, all of that?
Really good question. So someone on the design team took our design, UI, all of that, and put it into a skill. And so all I had to do was go download the skill from the design team and give it to Claude Code, who basically had just additional information. So think of skills do you guys remember in The Matrix where Neo doesn't know how to do karate, but then he loads up how to do karate and taekwondo or fly a helicopter? That's essentially what a skill is. Claude Code is really smart, but it doesn't know anything about RAMP design. And so by giving it that skill, it now is an expert in how to build using RAMP design.
That's so cool. Yeah. When you told me about this the other day, I was so mind blown. I went back and I was like, we've got to be doing this. This is so insane. And it seems like our company is starting to do something similar just because it is so cool what you can do. This is awesome, Dave.
I have a lot of ideas on how to take this to the next level. And one of the ideas is, how can I invoke this from Slack? So a lot of people will send contracts, say, hey, can we review this contract over Slack, versus they'll put it into RAMP request, of course, for a PO, but maybe it's early on in the negotiations. They just want to get an initial view. And so how can I invoke this in Slack? So the reason I built Peel was to learn how to build a Slack application. So now I can do it for Clause as well. Cool. Guys, we have just 5 minutes left. So I'm going to switch over to Q&A. Let me see if there's any good questions here. Of course, there's a lot of good questions here. But while I go over to these questions, I had a question that I wanted to ask you guys. Stephen, a lot of us on the call are new to Claude Code. And one of the things that you talked about was how that like it lives in a terminal. It's different than what finance and accounting folk are used to. It's it's not natural for us to be in a terminal as it is for our developers. What was those first 10 minutes like when you got into the terminal? How did you figure out how to use it? Now you're an expert, or at least proficient in using it. But what was that first 10 minutes like? How did you get over the hump?
Yeah, like I said, this one was the most intimidating for me because at least with Claude, like I'm familiar with ChatGPT at this point, and so I can like chat to it, like it feels normal and organic. This one, like it was literally just asking Claude what to do here. So like once it's connected, then I'm like, okay, like what do I do here? So I ask Claude, how do I get started? It says type in Claude. So, okay, I type in Claude in the terminal, and now it's connected. Like, okay, great. But then like it creates this HTML file that opens up in the browser, and then I accidentally like close my window, and I'm like, oh shoot, like how do I find this thing again? So once again, I just ask Claude, and it tells me like, oh, like it's probably in this file where you saved it. Go look here. I find it. I open it. Okay, but now I close the terminal. How do I reconnect these things? So I ask Claude, how do I reconnect these? And it says, oh, paste the link into the terminal and say, I want to work on this again. And then it makes the connection again, and off I go. Right? Like it sounds too simple, but honestly, it is like so true that like I am literally just asking Claude, how do I do this? It tells me, and I go do it. And
So
it doesn't
you how to use itself essentially.
Yes, yeah, and it doesn't work every time, right? Sometimes like it won't work, and I say, "Hey, that didn't work. Give me another option," and then it does. And if that doesn't work, I do it again. If that doesn't work, like then I'll do it again. And like I don't know that it ever hasn't eventually gotten me there. I've never like gone to Google or something. Like it's always just asking Claude how to use it and then following its own directions.
Yeah, I'm in the same exact boat. I started, and everyone asks me, how do you even get started? How do you even get started? How do you even get started? I literally, kid you not, said, this was my prompt. I've never used this before. I want to be able to like use AI across our organization and utilize these tools. This is my role. Like, how do I use this? And then I would say something and I'd be like, okay, well, here's a prompt. Like when I created those agents in Notion had been out for like those agents, custom agents had been out for like less than 24 hours. I went into Claude and I said, this is what I want. Give me the instructions to do it. Give me the prompt. Copy, paste, live. Less than 5 minutes. And people are like, oh, you built an agent. I'm like, well, I don't know if I built an agent per se, but like it took me 2 seconds to be like the facilitator of it.
So normally, like with using Excel, like I go ask someone who I know is really good at Excel, and I'm like, hey, how do I do this formula? But with Notion agents, if it came out 24 hours before, there's no one to ask, right? But the AI can read the documentation and is now an expert and can help you.
Correct.
Brock, let me ask you a question. Like, you're building these things, you're putting them into production. Yes, you're working with your security team to make sure it's safe before you put it into production. But like, where do you see the limits? Not just like the build versus buy discussion, but like, where do you see the limits of where you can vibe code something versus where you have to like loop in someone on the engineering team or someone who knows how to code, not vibe coding specifically? Like, where do you see the limits of what you can do?
Yeah, I think that's an amazing question. Like right now, this is so cliche, but I really don't know what limits there are right now. Because like when you just start working and you start trying to do stuff, you'll like truly amaze yourself at what you're capable of building, right? And like I've looped in our team like near the end when it's like trying to have things more secure and when we're trying to make things like more official. And like when we move things over into production, like I got like a cursor license. Like I was like doing still vibe coding, but like that's when like I'm like, guys, talk to me like I'm 5. I have no idea what you're talking about here. They're like saying all the nomenclature, and I'm like, you got to remember like debits equal credits, like assets, liabilities, like talk to me like that. And so like I think our limitations are like just the lack of understanding, and like I think like when it comes to these tools, they've enabled you to create. And so like you should just go try and build as much as you possibly can. And like go reach out to your team if you have no understanding, and like just try. Like that's the biggest thing. Like the only limit is you just taking the step forward, in my opinion, and just attempting and trying to teach yourself how to do these things. That's my honest opinion. So
Guys, I'm just gonna come in here. We are here at the top of the hour. Brock, Steven, can you guys stick around for a few more minutes?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Unless the event team kicks us out and tells us we have to close up, we're going to stay on for a few more minutes and answer a few more questions. But if you do have to go, because you have another call at this hour, thank you for joining. I appreciate everybody that joined here from all across the internet. Of course, we will send out the recording in the next day or two. So thank you for everybody joining. But let's keep going with some questions. I have a few more here that I think are going to be really interesting. Steven, you talk to a ton of controllers, heads of finance, VP of finance, CFOs, going through this shift of what it means to be a professional, specifically a finance and accounting professional. Where do you see kind of the job to be done shifting over the next couple of years? What does a finance team kind of look like 3 years from now?
Yeah, I think this is really fun to think about. And the best thing I think of so far is kind of, I see two roles emerging that didn't exist before. And one, I think, will be kind of an AI lead on the team, in the same way we had like a director of transformation for finance transformation, who like their whole role was just systems. And especially like a big company, like starting my career at Walmart, we had an SVP of finance transformation. Like they were just doing systems all the time. I think we'll have that for AI, probably across the whole company, but especially within finance, who their whole role is to either implement AI tools or implement just their own AI built tools across the system. The other, I don't know if the title is going to be like strategic accounting, kind of like StratFin, or accounting operations might be a better word, but similar to what Brock talked about, where he's like, his whole first month of the job was real and ramp. It will be less about like your technical accounting knowledge and more about what tools can you put in place and what systems can you build to automate the close effectively.
Yeah, because
I agree with that.
Claude is as good of an expert in accounting and GAAP and IFRS as any person you can hire. Well, then there's not that much value in being like, knowing every single GAAP proclamation, because Claude has that at a moment's notice. So the job to be done is then just managing agents to go do that part of the work and making sure that the output is suitable.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Make sure it's still right. But yeah, I would say less value on the technical accounting piece, more value on the applications and systems and kind of infrastructure.
And then Brock, I know you have a small team, but as you guys grow, I'm sure you'll look to hire additional team members onto your team, not just the agents to do work, but maybe a smaller team than in years past. But you'll look to hire a team. What's the skill sets that you're looking for in a someone that you're going to bring onto your accounting and finance team?
Yeah, so I actually just hired someone on my team and they start next week. I'm so stoked. Like, it is going to be great. So thank you. For me, one of my interview questions was literally like, what tools are you using? And like, how do you implement AI in a day-to-day basis? Like, just like talk to me about problem solving. And like, I literally just asked the weirdest questions, like, because like, when it comes to like the day-to-day, I can teach anyone about how to do accounting. Like, it's not that complex. Let's be honest. Like, when it comes to like the day-to-day operations of accounting, it's like, just think through it. Like, this is what it is. Like, and so for me, I was like, well, like, how are you challenging yourself? And like, what tools are you trying to implement? What are you trying to do? Right. And like, those were some of the questions. I had people who would be like, yeah, I've heard of open AI. Isn't that right? I'm like, look, okay, no, like, tell me what you're actually building. Have you ever vibe coded? Have you ever tried to use any of these tools? And the person that I hired is like definitely trying to do all these things. I'm like, this is amazing. So
you got a good point here that using AI and deploying agents is going to be table stakes for
100%
hires going forward. And for me, what I'm looking for is things like curiosity and ability to learn new skills, try things and fail. Right. Yep. Those are going to be the attributes of a new finance hire. Like you said, you can teach someone accounting, debits and credits, of course. And of course, you're going to have agents that know those things really well. But it's about how do you deploy those agents to do work? How do you deploy agents to do lots of work as you scale? And are you curious to try things and fail?
100%. Totally agree.
Guys, we are 5 minutes over, and the team is telling us we got to wrap this up right now. So, Brock, thank you for showing us what you've built. Really cool stuff. Steven, thank you so much for showing us all the cool cloud coding that you've been doing.
Absolutely.
Where can everybody find you? You guys on LinkedIn?
We are.
LinkedIn.
Very.
I sent it in the chat, but like everyone, I'll send it one more time.
Guys,
we'd
follow
love to be
Steven
connected.
Brock on LinkedIn. They're great follows. They have tons of interesting information, lots of events. I know Steven and Rilla puts on a lot of events. So follow along if you're interested in learning more. Steven, one quick shout out. You're doing like an AI coding roadshow. Tell us real quick about that.
We're doing right now SF, Boston, LA, Chicago, Austin, and Salt Lake City as well.
Salt Lake.
We're gonna vibe code in person, have folks show off what they've done, and then literally spend time vibe coding together. It's also hosting a vibe code for finance contest right now, so you can win $1,000 by building the coolest vibe code tool. So you'll see it on my LinkedIn, but it's gonna be sick.
That's really cool. And you can be a beginner here. So even if you haven't done anything quite yet, you can learn from these sessions. Guys, thank you so much for joining. Thank you everybody here that joined in throughout the internet. Appreciate you guys. And stoked to see what you guys all build.
Go build.